Let's go.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of our Dynasty Spotlight series here at Masters Fantasy Football. I just had to look over, see if the doc was repping a Notre Dame shirt like he typically is, and of course he is. I don't know why I doubted
Got
it.
shorts too. If
Don't know
you're
why I
curious.
ever doubted that. You might be wearing a different shirt, but yeah, our next player, Tommy Tremble, tight end out of Notre Dame, and lands in the Carolina Panthers. I think an offense that we kind of like.
Yes.
But Tommy Tremble didn't really do a whole lot at Notre Dame, but I'll let you tell us a little more about
So I
him.
can kind of explain this a little bit more.
Yeah.
First off, really love the destination because the Panthers don't really have much in the way of tight ends. But I will say this about Tommy Tremble. So statistically, there's not really a ton there. He didn't get utilized a ton in the offense simply because, I mean, not to put the cart ahead of the horse, but Notre Dame's got a tight end that's probably going to go in the first round in a couple of years, Michael Mayer. So get used to hearing that name because he's an absolute monster. Anyways, Tommy Tremble was a guy coming out of high school that was very athletic, was supposed to be like receiver only, as you could see by the build, 6'3", 240. Not quite, one of these tight ends that's huge. I mean, he's a little smaller for the position. I won't say undersized.
Reminds me like an Irv Smith.
Irv Smith is
Yeah,
exactly who I was going to say. Yeah, there you go. So kind of has that build. He was meant to be just like a receiver, super athletic, and he really kind of burst onto the scene this year with his blocking ability. So running and pass blocking, run blocking and pass blocking, I should say. He was excellent, and he's just one of those guys that loves just crushing people, and he's very good at it. So I feel like that's kind of one of the things where he was blocking so well, his role in the passing game kind of took a step back because, I mean, you needed him for blocking purposes. So that point of it is really good because, again, like we've mentioned with Hunter Long, he's going to get on the field because of his ability to block. But he's got a ton of upside as a receiver. That's kind of what he was supposed to be. He's had some injuries, take some time away. But I feel like, size, speed, hands, athleticism, all that stuff, he's got all of it. So, combine all those things, he'll be on the field because of the blocking. And then I think he's just going to continue to develop, especially in an offense where there's a lot of other talent around him. So he won't be relied on to, get open in these situations where, there's not going to be a ton of attention on him because it's going to be on DJ Moore and guys like that. So I really like the situation. I really like him as a player and an investment as well because I feel like he's a guy that might not even get drafted in most leagues. But yeah, I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, and speaking a little more on the situation he's in now, I mean, Ian Thomas was a name for years we've wanted to facilitate, and it just never has. I mean,
just never happened.
I was one of the victims who hoped and
Me
thought,
too.
Breakout type year for Ian Thomas coming, and then sure enough, just misses again. But yeah, now this could be, the guy who potentially gets that breakout type role here in Carolina. A lot of weapons to compete with targets, but also a lot of guys who's going to take the attention of the defense. So kind of a catch-22 there. But yeah, I like it. I think there's a decent opportunity. I think he's going to fly pretty well under most people's radar because of, the lack of production in college, which you kind of explained wasn't because of a lack of talent. Just his role.
That's the role he would have been in had he not excelled so well at blocking and had a better tight end come in.
We mentioned kind of like Irv Smith as a comparison for size, and to hear that Tommy Tremble, is a fantastic blocker, like that says a lot about him because you just look at the 6'3", 240 at the tight end position, you think, he's a tweener who's not a true tight end, but then you say he can block. I mean, that says a lot about him. It gets me excited. Do you find yourself drafting him in a 3-round rookie draft?
I mean, I would.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that makes a difference, but honestly,
hey, I'll say this: this is the same guy who's drafting Cole Kmet last year, and about every rookie draft I was in with him, and now Cole Kmet's one of those high up and coming tight end names, and
in this scenario, Tommy Tremble not as good as Cole Kmet, from a fantasy perspective either, but I mean, think about it: Cole Kmet had to come in and compete with Jimmy Graham. Tommy Tremble's coming in and competing with Ian Thomas.
Yeah.
So I realistically, I mean, this is a guy who has a good shot to start and be on the field a lot from a very early point in the season. And again, he's not getting a ton of love. So for me, I'm drafting him for sure because this is a guy that very well could be a starting tight end. And, in an offense with Joe Brady, and we've seen Sam Darnold have good kind of rapport with tight ends in his time with the New York Jets. So I really like that aspect of it. Again, this is a guy I draft. But even if he doesn't get drafted, this is a guy you should probably pick up and just keep an eye on for that reason. because I think he's going to do some good stuff in this offense.
I love it. So I'm just going to throw out, trying to come up with a couple veteran tight ends who, because tight end's such a weird position in fantasy because we got some of those elite few, and then we got some guys we like, but then it's almost like, just a crapshoot down there with some of these, you start getting around tight end 25 to 35. Right. I mean, just names who may or may not hit. I mean, no joke. I mean, we just saw Tim Tebow get drafted like relatively high. So, I mean,
12th round. So
people are willing to throw some crazy shots at the tight end position hitting. So
that's what happens when there's like 4 consistent ones. So
to me, this I think is a little bit of a no-brainer, but because of the Tim Tebow thing, I saw it happen. Tyler Higbee or Tommy Tremble.
Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, me too. We saw Tim Tebow go ahead of Tyler Higbee, which should.
And I'm not even huge on Tyler.
Yeah,
Higbee,
and neither am I. But that never should happen in a million years. I'm trying to think of another couple more tight ends around that.
I can tell you one because I almost picked him for our episode. Adam Troutman.
Ooh,
he was taken super late.
That's a good. So I'm gonna go with Adam Troutman because for some reason I'm like this Adam Troutman truth. I just think he reminded me a lot of Goddard, who I was huge on when Goddard came out from Dayton. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I think Adam Troutman. I think
I would take Troutman as well.
But
plus he's got another
year, close. Yeah,
a year ahead of him too. So I like that aspect of it as well.
Let's see who else.
Yeah, I mean there's kind of that gray area where there's a few like younger tight ends like Adam Troutman. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm trying to think of one. I mean, obviously, like guys like Jared Cook, I'm taking him over. Like all these
Tommy Tremble
veterans.
over. Yeah. All right. So let's touch all right. What about Gronk?
Yeah, I'd take Tommy Tremble.
All right, I like that because I think the ADP. Not that I'm disagreeing. But
what about OJ Howard?
So I kind of like OJ Howard still.
That's a tough.
You go Tommy
that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I'd probably go with OJ Howard. Reluctantly. Yeah.
But I think the point here, especially with names like Gronk that were thrown out, I mean, these still going to get drafted ahead of Tommy Tremble in Dynasty startups. And, if you've got, a guy like Gronk and you can flip him for a, third-round pick or something, you can get your Tommy Tremble, who the doc likes more in Dynasty. So definitely some value to be made on him, even though, he might not have a huge role year one. It's still a good stash in Dynasty, as a lot of tight ends don't hit right away. So
right. Yeah. I feel pretty confident about his abilities. Will he be utilized good enough to warrant one of those picks? I can't say for sure, but I trust Joe Brady and I trust Tommy Tremble, so I think it'll be a good spot.
I like it.
Yeah, so keep your eye on Tommy Tremble. Nice flyer in your rookie expansion drafts or your fresh startups if you're willing to take him late in that draft. But I think that's all we got on Tommy Tremble.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, as always, mastersfantasyfootballleagues.com. Sign up for a league. Plenty of orphan teams waiting for you. Previous owner paid your deposit. There's hundreds of them. So, come scoop one of those teams. Be a part of the Masters family. Leave a comment. Leave a like. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening, guys. Boom.